as, you know, a transitional being, we should expect that, you know, these sorts of changes will continue to manifest in our form. You know, if we were originally lizards, you know, and we're just sort of ever presently crawling, you know, from the slime, then, you know, we should expect that we'll continue to crawl, you know, and that we're going to be integrated with this these other forms in some physical way. I mean, if you look at the evolution of our technology, if you look at the evolution of the man's relationship with the physical world that technology has enabled, this is huge. I mean, this camera can see better than I can see in a lot of ways. I can't zoom in on something. I can't see the face on that lizard as well as this camera is picking it up. And this is not the end of it. And these machines that we're creating, if the Solar Logos does not decide to destroy them, will probably be integrated with us in some way that is the harbinger of them as a new form of life on Earth. And this is part of the darker stuff that I was referring to earlier. I do this sort of art that relates to the integration of man and machine on some transformative level, on some level that draws us into a sort of carnal relationship almost with this sort of material. And so as this sort of darker energy that was created by the technological advancement that pulled us into the digital age continues, if it continues, I mean, a shaman will tell you that everything is alive. And so the possibility that, you know, your computer is some sort of new form of life on Earth that has been enabled by your species, or is somehow symbiotic with your species, you know, doesn't enter the consciousness of your average human being that sits in front of it 8 or more hours a day. And so what's happening there? What's going to happen with it? You know, what's the plan? You know, where's it going? And that's the big pay dirt as far as people who are visionaries. And you know, if you look at what happened with Steve Jobs, it's really been weighing on me. Probably spent, I don't know, I was very down for over more than 24 hours. I slept for a long time. That's the most depressed I've been in a very long time. And I think the time before that was the time the Farscape people showed up on my doorstep. And maybe they did show up and I didn't answer. But anyway, the long and short of it is that silence on his part is, I believe, a big problem. That, you know, like a cancer grows, little trivia for you Farscape people. The Sebaceans, the alien race that looks just like humans that John came into contact with, that Farscape was mocking, basically, because they thought that they actually were people. They're wrong. They don't have cancer. They have a database of every genetic mutation. They know the causes of the mutations. They exist in another time space. They're humanoid. And I guess, when Philip Dick wrote about the vast active intelligence system that supposedly connected him to these worlds, and I independently reported similar contact, it sort of gave some weight to my report with certain people. And unfortunately, the groups don't necessarily cooperate. In fact, a lot of them fight among each other. And they have different things that they know that they don't share. And so the other groups end up tripping themselves up because of what they don't know. Cold War. It's very sad. It's too bad we can't have some cooperation, some open sharing of information without killing each other over it. So, what else? I'm very much on the outs with these people right now. Very angry about Fukushima. Very angry at the government. Or the people who've decided to charade as a government. And people who've decided to present themselves as a legitimate government. Very angry with these people. Governments are supposed to provide for common defense and promote the general welfare. And that is not what's happening. Of course, everybody's calling them on it. So it won't last. That's the good news. Good news is it won't last. Is there a great rectification coming? That seems to be the $28,000 question. Patrick Jarrell predicted it. And I think that Patrick's a really bright guy. I haven't been able to find his model where he calculates the true nature of the solar cycle. I've looked around for it. Probably in one of his books that I don't have. If you want to send me the book, I'll do my magic on it. But my intuition is that Patrick doesn't have the whole story. And part of the reason that I've completely bailed on the implications of astrotometry on astrology, which they're significant, is because of the HD model. The nature of the individuation of the Manas in the solar logos, as Alice Bailey / DK would articulate it, which of the articulations I've found, it's the best. Treatise on Cosmic Fire. The nature of that individuation as it relates to the continuity of spirit, accepts static linear maps of things like the positions of the stars and planets. And so that's something I learned from direct experience. And so I only use those sorts of maps in an immediate. I tend not to make any sort of plans excepting my travels through the wormholes. Because, if you travel through a wormhole, to an identical Earth that looks just like the one you were on, stars might be in a different place. So might the planets. Might lose a few days, a few hours time in the continuity as it relates to the overstructure of the time-space continuum. And, you know, I've been talking about it that way since the time they were making Stargate. And so that'll give you an idea of what the Stargate is. So it's a difficult thing not to present a three-dimensional explanation of the world when you're working with three-dimensional people. And so there's a group of people, multidimensionals, here on YouTube who are largely silent on my channels if they're watching at all. I mean, when I start going down some of the paths, engaging astronauts and would-be Stargate travelers, they get bored. And so I don't think they're engaged. And so one of the things I thought about doing is turning off this other audience, which I've sort of been forced into by these people who demand my attention or else. Is turning them off and talking to these other groups.